Hi, and welcome to BremSter Puzzles, and back to Sliced Sudoku, the sandwich Sudoku pack that we've been working on for many, many months. This is another puzzle that has been rated either as an incredibly hard scenic hike or an easy trek into the wilderness. Not sure where this one's going to fall yet, but it is definitely going to fall later into the pack. Now, I am going to call this one as a puzzle that I have solved before. So I've solved this one previously in testing. It was probably a month or so ago. I haven't checked the exact time, but it was a few weeks ago, and I've solved probably 100 or so puzzles since then. Yeah, I do have some familiarity that this grid was quite tricky, and I'm not 100% sure what I'm looking at, but I think I remember a couple of the tricks. And I don't mind this because the whole point for this is for me to show you a clean solve of the puzzle if I can, rather than for me to get stuck, particularly with the harder puzzles. Some of the harder puzzles I've been told I'm probably going to want to do a scripted solve. This one is just not a blind solve, although I don't remember the path exactly. Okay, so yes, Sliced Sudoku, the Sandwich Sudoku pack, links below to this puzzle as well as to the entire pack. I think that's all I need to go through. Let's have a look at the rules. So we've got normal Sudoku rules apply. So into every box, into every row, and into every column, the digits 1 to 9 must be placed without repetition. We've then got the sandwich constraint. So these numbers outside the grid give the sum of the digits between 1 and 9 in that row or column. So for example, in this column, there will be digits summing to 10 between the 1 and the 9. So if this was the 1 and this was the 9, those two digits would have to sum to 10. If in this column, if this was the 1 and that was the 9, those two digits would have to sum to 10. And the same is true in all of these rows. So they're the rules of Sandwich Kropki Pairs. Digits separated by a black dot must be in a 2-to-1 ratio, and digits separated by a white dot must be consecutive. They're all the rules. Now, not all dots are necessarily given. It's not stated in the rules, but the same as not all sandwich clues are necessarily given, not all dots are necessarily given. This is what the pairs means in Kropki Pairs. I'm going to restart the puzzle to restart my timer. I'm going to be very, very clear again. I have solved this puzzle before, but it was a while ago, and I don't think I remember exactly the path, but I do have ideas of what I should be looking for. Let's give this a shot. So these two runs of black dots are incredibly important because I'm not going to talk about just black dots individually, a run of 3 black dots that all see each other. If we start with a 1, we could go 1 double to 2, then double to 4, or we could go 2 double to 4, double to 8. We can't go 3 double to 6, double to 12 because that takes us outside the range of Sudoku. So these have to either be 1, 2, 4, or 2, 4, 8 in some order. So that means that the central digit is a 2 or a 4, and we've got 1, 2, 4, 8 on the outsides. And this is true for both of these runs. Now, okay, I'm already not remembering because I'm not at the point where I remember a couple of key steps. How is this going to work? Yeah. Let's think about the nature of a 10 sandwich clue. A 10 sandwich clue, let's just use this column, okay? Let's say this was a 1 or a 9. How can we do a 10 sandwich? So you can never do a 10 in a single cell. So I'm not worried about clues at the moment. I'm just thinking about how 10 sandwiches can work. You can never do a 10 in a single cell. So a 10 could be done in 2 cells. That's fine. And in fact is very, very common. 10 in 3 cells is incredibly restricted, and you can never do 10 in 4 because the minimum digits you can include inside the contents of a sandwich, because the 1 and the 9 are the bread of the sandwich, is 2, 3, 4, and 5. And if you add 2, 3, 4, and 5, you're at 14. That does not work. So if you do it in 3, what does it have to be? Well, the minimum digits you could use are 2, 3, and 4, which sum to 9. You have to increase one of those digits by 1, and the only digit you can increase without getting a duplication is the 4. So a 3-cell 10 sum is 2, 3, 5. A 2-cell 10 sum, it has a bit more freedom, but you can only do 2 or 3-cell sums. So let's look back here, because there is a 10 sandwich in this row. There's not in this column. Okay, I'm not remembering this puzzle as well as I thought. But anyway, there is in this row. So if there was no 1 here, I couldn't make the 10 span this, because this would be 2, 4, 8, which sums to 14. So I couldn't make the 10 span this. So the 10 would either have to have both bits of bread on this side or both bits of bread on this side, and then I'd have to have a 10 in the middle, which doesn't work. So there must be a 1 in one of those 2 cells, which means there's no 8 and there is a 2 in the middle, and this is 1, 2, 4, with this being a 1, 4. And it's going to be the same down here. If there's no, I might be able to span this actually. No, I can't span this. If there's no, what happens if there's no 1 or 9 on this run? Well, I'd then need to either do the sandwich completely on one side or span the middle. I can't do the sandwich completely on one side because I'd have to have a 10 in the middle. So I'd have to span the middle. But if I span the middle, then the minimum this could be would be 2, 3, 4, which isn't a 10 sum. And if it was a 9 sum, I need to add a 1, which I can't do. Or it'd be 3, 4, 5, which is higher than 10. So I can't span the middle. I must have a 1 or a 9 in one of those 2 cells. And it can't be a 1. Because if it was a 1, I'd have to go 1, 2, 3, and I'd have 2 2s in the central. So there's a 9 in one of those, there's an 8 in the middle, and then this is a 9, 7. Okay, so let's start doing some sandwich colouring. These are green. Whichever way this goes, if it's 9, it's going to go out, and it has to go out 2. Yeah, I can't do 3. There's only, because I can't span the middle. So whichever way it goes out 2, and the other way will all. So if this is 9 and goes this way, it goes out 2, and then all of these become green. And if this is 9, it goes out 2, and all of these become green. Either way, all of those are green. And I think it's the same up here. Yeah, I can't do a 3 sum. And if this is a 1, it goes this way, and the 2 are in the sum, and these aren't. And the same is true in reverse. So all of these become green. But there's no 10 sum here. So how's that going to work? And as I find stuff, I'm not going to be sure if I'm finding or remembering. I'll be honest about that. These need to go in different directions. If this went 1, it would be a 2-cell sum to 9, and I couldn't then go 9 with a 2-cell sum to 1, or those 5 digits would need to sum to 10. And the same is true here. If this was a 9 going to 1 here, I couldn't then go 1 to 9 here, because if I went 1 to 9 here, those cells would need to sum to 10 for this column. So these go in opposite directions. Which means something for these corners, doesn't it? Because one of these 2, these go in opposite directions. So if this is the 1, it's those 2. But if this isn't included, if this isn't a 1 or a 9, this is a 1 or a 9, and this is a 1 or a 9. So there's an X-wing on 1s and 9s in here. So either that is and that is, or that is and that is. So I'm just going to quickly mark with some different colors here. It's either orange or yellow. Now, if it's orange, the 10 sum can't go up. And if it's yellow, I can't make... Yeah, this has to be green. Because if orange was... If orange was the sum, I couldn't put it here. And if yellow is the sum, I couldn't put it here, or all of those would need to sum to 10. So that is green. And if yellow is the sum, that couldn't be it, or it'd be a 0. And if orange is it, this couldn't be it because all of those would need to sum to 10. So this is green. Why did I make yellow go away here? The same logic applies here. These are green. Now, I think the same is true for this cell, because if it's yellow, it goes up, and that is included. And if it's orange, it goes down, and the maximum it could be is a 3 length. So it would end there. So this is green. Does it mean the same here? Yes. If it's orange, it's here. And if it's yellow, the maximum is 3 and it's here. This is green. And the same logic will apply for those. So these are included. Okay. I'm going to uncolor the orange and the yellow now. I think, well, hang on a minute. If this is it and it was a 2 sum, that would put it there. And if this was it and it was a 2 sum, it would put it there, and it would put the 1 and the 9 in those, and those would all have to sum to 10, which is blatantly impossible because of the nature of sandwich. If it's at the ends of the rows, the clue has to be a 35. So it's either here and here, or here and here. So we can't make them 2 sums. Well, we can't make them both 2 sums. At least one of them has to be a 3 sum. Which means there's a 2, 3, 5 in one of these columns. But I'm not sure where it could be. But one of these has to be included. Oh, that's not... Yeah, oh, no, maybe I could do 2, 3, 5 here and 2, 3, 5 here and make them those. That might be possible. That might be possible. Or vice versa. Because 2, 3, 5, 2, 3, 5, they don't really see each other. Huh. Okay. So how do we do the 10 clue? Because the 10 is definitely in 2, because we can't do 3 cell, because the 3 cell, we don't have enough room. So if we do a 10 sum in this row, we can't use 1, 9 because you never can. 2, 8 is not possible. 4, oh, it's always going to be 3, 7. Because 2, 8 and 4, 6 are not possible. So there's going to be a 3, 7, 9 here, or a 3, 7, 9 here. Does that interact with that? What about down here? We've got a 9 with a 1, and then we need to make a sum. Now, you never use 1, 9. You can't use 2, 8 or 3, 7. It's going to be a 4, 6. Right. 4, 6, 1, 7, 8, 9 leaves 2, 3, 5. So one of these, there's a 2, 3, 5 here or a 2, 3, 5 here. So if this was 9, 1, this would be 2, 3, 5. But we know this would be 1, 9, and this couldn't be the 3 sum because this would be 2, 3, 5, and that would have to be a 2, 3, 5, and we'd have 4 2, 3, 5s. Let me demonstrate. If this was the 9 and this was the 1, we know that the only way to make this up, we couldn't use 9, 1, we couldn't use 2, 8, this is a 7, so we couldn't use 3, 7, this is 4, 6, this is 7. Now, I don't know this is the direction it goes, but these are 2, 3, 5. Now, but we know that with this being the 9, 1, because of this 10 row, we can't end this here. Well, we can end it here. But, we can't make the 1, 9 go this way because then those would have to sum to 10. So the 1, 9 goes this way. But this 9 now can't be a 3-sum because the only way to do 10 in 3 is 2, 3, 5, and all of those would be 2, 3, 5. So this would have to be a 2-cell 10-sum. And the same logic is true if I reverse this. So whichever one of these goes down is a 2-cell 10-sum. So I know one of those is a 1. Because if I go 1, 9, that's a 1. And if I go 1, 9, that's a 1. So one of these two, crikey, this is awkward. One of those two is a 1. But I could still go like 2, 3, 5, 9 here, I think. Unless there's something going on in this column. Well, this can't be a 1 or a 9. Because if this was a 1 or a 9, how would I do the 10-sum? I'd have to go 8, 2, and I can't do it. So this is green. What about in this box? Well, oh my lord. So in this row, how am I going to do the 10? Can I do the 10 in 3? I can do the 10 in 3, but I can't span this. So I can't make these all green. If these were all green, I'd have to put the 1 and the 9 here. These would have to span, and they'd have to be 2, 3, 5, and they can't. So there must be a 1 or a 9 in here. I can't span this. This can't all be filling of sandwich. Because the only way to make all that filling of sandwich is for it to be 2, 3, 5, which it can't be. So there must be bread in here, or crust, or however you want to call it. So there's a 9 in here, which means these are all green. And I can't put a 1 in here, but it doesn't limit what I could do. Like I could put 9 here. I could even put 9 here and 1 here if this is 2 with 3, 5. But I know that there's a 1 in one of those. But I've got a 10 in this column now. And it can't be a 3-sum because there's no 2 available. So there's a 2-sum. So hang on, it's a 2-cell 10-sum. So it's either here, here, or hang on, it's either here or here. It's the only way I could do a 10-sum is with the 10-sum being here or the 10-sum being here. Either way, that is part of the 10-sum. And now that's putting a restriction on this, which means these have to be 2-cell 10-sums. Right. There's 2-cell 10-sums. If this is the 1, this has to be green because there's a 2-cell 10-sum. And if this is the 1, because this would be, if this is the 1, this has to be green. And if this is the 1, I can't get that far. And the same is logic here. These are both green. And now, if this is the 1, I can't do a 3-cell 10-sum. The 9 would be there. And if this is the 1, the 9 would be there. And now I've got an X-wing on 9s. So I can't put 9 in any of those or in any of those. That's a 9, which gives me that as a yellow 9. There is a 2-cell 10 sum, and that is a 1, and this is a 10 sum. That is fascinating. So this isn't a 1. So this isn't a 4 because I can't go 1, 2, 4. These can't be 1 or 9. Sorry. 4 is the color of green on my keypad. So if I don't switch the color mode correctly, I type in a 4. You've probably seen me do this dozens of times. But 9 has to be in one of these, doesn't it? Because 919 or 919, because one of these has to be 235. Because I can't have a 2-cell 10 sum going up. I can't have a 3-cell going down. So there's a 3-cell going up, and it's 9, 1. So there's a 9 in one of those two. But sorry, I'm a little lost. If this is 1, 9, 1, 9, 9, 1, 9. Hang on a minute. These are all green. Oh, there's no 10 clue here. Hang on a minute. One. So there's something about the direction of these. 9, 1, 9. We put 2, 3, 5 here. So you go 1, 9, 1, 9. Something here breaks and I can't see what it is. Well, there's a 10 sum from this. Oh, wait a minute. There's a 10 sum from this, which is at least 2 cells. And this is green. And I can't put a 9 here, can I? No, I can't put a 9 here. The 10 sum can't go this way. It's this 10 sum now that I've got this 1. Because these can't be the 9. This can't be a 9 because I can't put a 9 on a black dot. So this, if this was a 9, these would be 2, 3, 5. But if this is a 9, the only way for this to be a 9, it'd be if this is 9, 1, and that would have to be a 10. Because 1, 9, 1 or 9, 1, 9. So 9 is in one of those two. I can't put a 9 there. That's green. This is going in this direction. Which means 1, 9. This is going in this direction. That has to do something. Can this be a 9? If this is a 9, no, this can't be a 9 either for the same reason. It's either 191 or 919 because I need a 235. That's never a 9. That's a 9, which is yellow. This is green. This is 987. Sorry, 87. And now I can't go 919 anymore because I've got the 9 in the box. So I have to go 919. That is crazy. This is not the 1 anymore. This is the 1. Which means this is 7, which is green. This is also green. And we know that the 10 sum is 2, making that the 9, which we know is yellow. This is the 1, which is yellow. And this is the 4, which is green. This is also green. 1 is in one of those two. But this is a 10 sum. I can't make a 4-cell 10 sum. That's the 9, which is yellow. This is not the 9, that's green. These are both green. This sums to 10, this sums to 10. This sums to... Oh, hang on, we know what these are. This was 4, 6 because I can't use 2, 8 or 3, 7. And this is 3, 7 because I can't use 2, 8 or 4, 6. This, well, the 7 makes that the 3 and that the 7. There is a 4 on that. So that's the 6 and that's the 4 because it's either 1, 2, 4 or 2, 4, 8. The 8 in this 10 sum makes that the 2, which makes that the 4, which means there is no 1 on here. This is the 1, and this is a 2, 8, which means that is green. What's this 10 sum now? Okay, let's mark off some 10 sums I've done. That opening is crazy. That isn't... I haven't done this one yet. I've done that one. Haven't done this one. I've done the 3, 7. This one has to be the 2, 3, 5. So I've done that one. And I've done the 6, 4. Right, these had to be the 2, 3, 5 that were not part of it, which was the whole crux of how this opening worked. There's no 2 there, there's no 3 there. So what can this be? No, this one. This one. It can't be 2, 8 because it would break that. It can't be 3, 7 because I can't put 7 in either of them. This is 4, 6. So now I've done this. What about this one? It can't be 2, 8 because I can't put 2, 8 in that cell and I can't put 7 in either of them. This is 4, 6. So now I've done this 10 sum. The 2 here is looking across saying that's not the... In fact, the 2 in this box is saying neither of those are the 2. That's the 2. These are 3 and 5. So I know what this pair is. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 and 7. And the 4, 6 is looking over, making that the 7 and that the 6. So there's a triple in this row. 3, 5, 7, and it must contain a 7. Okay. But there's a 10 clue here. So this can't be a 5. And this is a 3, 7 clue to make that work. But I can't put 7 there. That's 3, that's 7, that's 5. Looking across, making that 3 and that 5. And now this 10 sum is done. And I did remember from the beginning, these had to be 5, 6, 8. Well, 6 isn't in either of those two, so that's the 6. And the 8 in there is looking at making that the 5 and that the 8. So now this is an 8 by Sudoku. So I know what these two are. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 7. I haven't quite done all the sandwich clues. There's a 1. Well, this can't be 1 or 9. That can't be 1, because if this was a 1, that would have to be a 2, and it can't be. Okay. But the only 10 sum I haven't done now is this one. So if it goes this way, I could do 8, 2. I could go 7, 3. I couldn't do 4, 6 because I can't put 4 or 6 here. So it would be one of those two. If I go this way, because it has to be a 2-cell sum, I could go, well, I couldn't go 2, 8 because I can't put 2 in either of them. I couldn't go 3, 7 because I can't put 7, 3 or 7 there. And 4, 6 doesn't work because it would break that. I can't do anything in that direction. It goes that way. This is the 1. And these become green, which means this is the 1, which is yellow. And no, there's a 9 in one of those two. But these become green. And this is now a 1-9 pair, which is all yellow. These are all green. And there's a 1 in one of those. I don't have a 10 sum. This has to be a 10 sum. I did just narrow that down, didn't I? It can't be 4, 6. If it's 2, 8, that's the 8 and that's the 2. If it's 3, 7, that's the 7 and that's the 3. There is a 9 in here somewhere, which is just lining up. I think what I want to do now is I want to get rid of all of the green and then just highlight. This is the one sandwich sum I haven't done yet. This is a triple. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 9. 3, 7, and 9. Well, there's no 7 up there. So 7 is in one of those two. 7 is in one of those two. What are these? Because this is a 2, 3, 5. So 1, 2, I need to put a 4 in here. Okay. I need to put a 6 in here. Oh, 7 and 8. 7 and 8 can't go in those cells. So this is a 7, 8 pair. And the 8 makes that the 7 and that the 8. The 7 looks back saying that's not the 7, so that's the 7. And these are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. These are 4 and 6. But now this has to be 2 or 5 to complete the column. This is also known. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. These are 3 and 5, and the 3 makes that the 5 and that the 3 because of that 4, 6 pair. The 3 looks down saying that's not the 3. This is now a 2, 5 pair. That is the 3. And if I look up, this is a 2, 5 pair for the column. So these, no, maybe not. There's a 5 in one of those two. Two, 6, 2, 4, 6, and 8. These are all the even digits. So 4 is in one of those two, which puts 4 in one of those two. Well, the 4, 6. So this is only 2 or 8. Is it this dot now? What's this triple? Or I could use the triple in the column because it might give me something here. Because I can't, I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. These are 4, 6, and 8. And 8 is in one of those two. And that can't be the 8. If that was the 8, this would have to be a 7 or a 9 to be consecutive, and it can't be. That's not the 8. That's the 8, which looks across making that the 7 and that the 3, because that's the last 10 sum. That's why that dot's there. And that last 10 sandwich sum is now completed. So the 7 looks across making that the 4 and that the 7. The 4 looks back making that the 6, that the 4, which looks down making that the 6. The 6 makes that the 4. So this has to be 3 or 5. The 6 is making that the 4. So what are these? 2, 6, and 8. So I have to put 6 in one of those two. 2, 6, 8. But I've done all the sandwich sums now. This is 2 or 5, isn't it? For the row. And the 2 makes that the 5, that the 2, that the 5, which looks down making that the 2 and that the 5. But the 5 also looks across making that the 3, which looks across making that the 9, which I will colour yellow. This is not the 9. That looks down making this the 3. And this becomes a 5-9 pair. This is a digit that hasn't been placed, which is 2, and these are 6 and 8. So this is a 2, 6, 8 triple. So the 2 has to be in one of those two, and this isn't a 2. So 2 is in one of those two by column logic, and it's not there. So that's a 2. But these are now 1 and 3, which are the digits I haven't placed in the column. Because 2, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yeah, these are 1 and 3 because there's already a 9. And the 3 is making that the 1, which I'll colour yellow, that the 3. The 1 makes that the 9 and that the 1. And the 9 looks back making that the 5 and that the 9. And now I've got all the 1s and 9s. So this is a 6 or an 8 for this column, and the 8 is looking across making that the 6, which looks up making that the 8, which makes that the 2 and that the 6. The 2 looks across making that the 8 and that the 2. The 6 looks across making that the 4 and that the 6. The 4 says that's not the 4, so that's the 4. This is the 5 that hasn't been placed in the box. The 8 looks up making that the 6 and that the 8. And that is the solution to 8 Deca-Sandwich by Ambrose. Holy cow, what a puzzle. What a puzzle. The opening to this and understanding how all of that worked. This is a trek. Like the sandwich, once you figure out what's going on, but having to realize that one of these had to be 2, 3, 5, and it couldn't be 2, 3, 5 going down because one of these had to go one way and one had to go the other. And whichever way it went left a 2, 3, 5. And that would mean that you couldn't go down with a 2, 3, 5. So it was a 2 cell sum going down, which meant that one of these had to be a 1, which forced a 9. It's just crazy. That's a really long chain, but it does flow. I don't know how much of that was remembering and how much of that was solving. I'd say about 50-50. Because as I was finding this stuff, I was going, this feels familiar, but I wasn't... I've got a terrible memory. I was going, this feels familiar, but I couldn't remember exactly. I'm pretty certain I could not have solved this in 35 minutes if I wasn't aware. I knew there was something going on in these columns and it was going to do something in these in the middle row, but I couldn't remember how it worked. And as I was finding it, I was going, I think like it was feeling familiar, but I was also having to figure it out because I don't have a solve path on me. So, yeah, that was very, very cool. And as I said, if you want to sit there and going, well, BremSter had obviously solved this before. Yes, I had. So, I mean, I did, yeah. I mean, yeah, I had. But the important thing is, if you get stuck, you have a clean solve that you can follow through. And if I need to use a script to do that, I will. I didn't this time, but if I need to, I will. At least with the packs, I will. Thank you everyone for watching. I hope you're enjoying the pack. I don't know if this is going to be one of the hardest puzzles in the pack. I've got a few tricks to come. But yeah, the break into this one, real tricky. Thanks everyone for watching. And as always, good luck with your solving.